Hey there, community, and welcome to the Summer Sabbath Series on the Providence Podcast. I'm Sister Leslie, and I'm so glad you're here. This summer, we're revisiting some favorite reflections from the past year. Episodes that invite us to slow down, listen again, and notice what God might be saying to us in this season of rest and renewal. Today's reflection begins with some of Jesus's most familiar words. You are the salt of the earth, and you are the light of the world. They're words many of us have heard since childhood, but sometimes the most familiar teachings are the ones we need to hear again. As we move through the busy, noisy world around us, it can be easy to lose sight of our own goodness, our own belovedness, and the light God has placed within us. It can also be easy to miss the light shining in other people. So, as part of our summer Sabbath practice, I invite you to listen with fresh ears. Where is God inviting you to shine? And whose light might God be asking you to notice, to honor, or to help uncover? Let's take a few moments together to reflect on Jesus' invitation to be salt and light in the world. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth. But if a salt loses its taste, with what can it be seasoned? It is no longer good for anything, but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city set on a mountain cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a bushel basket. It is set on a lampstand, where it gives light to all in the house. Just so, your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify God." The Gospel, the good news of God.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
These are beautiful words, right? Words many of us learned as children. Words meant to affirm our goodness and call us to share it. Sunday school teachers everywhere have used them to teach their little students that they're God's light and that they're meant to shine. How many of us know the song, "This Little Light of Mine"? I'm not going to sing it for you, but I bet you have the tune in your head. However, sometimes these words might feel less like encouragement and more like a question we don't know how to answer. What if you don't feel like the light of the world? What if shining doesn't come easily or doesn't even feel safe? Today, I want to sit with these questions and with what it means to be salt and light, and not just as individuals, but as community that makes room for one another to shine. When I was a kid, being a light sounded good. I'm sure I learned that in school also. But it was hard to believe it about myself. And also, even though I didn't know what a lampstand was, I understood the invitation to stand out and shine. And I would have preferred, honestly, to be a quiet, inconspicuous light. I was kind of a shy kid who preferred the bushel basket, maybe. Shining just may feel easier for some people than for others. And the ease with which we shine may depend on the advantages life gives us or doesn't. I grew up with plenty of privilege. I was a little white girl, and although being female is not always a privileged place in the world, I didn't experience sexism until later in life, likely because my parents protected me from it. They encouraged me to shine. And if I felt awkward shining my light, and maybe sharing my salty flavor too, what about people who don't grow up with a lot of privilege? Even if parents surround their children with a bubble of love and protection, for people coming up in a world that undervalues them, how do they feel free enough to shine their light? I expect that parents who identify as Black, Indigenous, and people of color, or who don't but have children who do, surround their children with light and love, as most parents do, and their children do light up the world. However, wouldn't it be better if they didn't have to negotiate racism, which hangs over people like a bushel basket, trying to snuff them out? Racism does people violence. All of us, really. How do we get rid of that horrible cover that blots out people's light? There's just so much violence in the world. How do we shine a light of peace and healing on all the world's brokenness? I can't help but to think if people really knew their own light and could shine freely, and if they knew their flavoring potential, then they would treat other people better. If people were brought up to recognize their own light, would they feel the need to snuff it out in other people? I don't think so. And the other side of that same shiny coin is that if we could recognize light and salt in each person, we couldn't bear to cause them harm either. So, for instance, if U.S. immigration and customs enforcement agents were trained to recognize the dignity of each person, instead of seeing people, particularly brown and Black people, as criminals, would they try a different tactic other than violence? I think they certainly would. If immigrants could be valued for the flavor they offer, which they certainly do, well, I guess that salt would melt the ice. Am I right? What if every parent's child and every parent too was safe because we could really see each other's light? People could move through this world freely without worry about discrimination or bigotry or violence. And wouldn't we all just shine brighter because we could? Ultimately, it's our own personal responsibility to intentionally notice the light in other people. And truly, if we white people don't recognize the beautiful light in communities of color, in people of color, then we have our eyes closed, and that's our problem. It's on us to open our eyes and see people's light and value it and thank God for it. God's call for us to be bright and salty is not just about our personal growth, but about how we serve people. Isaiah describes what God's call to serve looks like. Share your bread with the hungry, shelter the oppressed and the homeless, clothe the naked when you see them, and do not turn your back on your own. To me, this begs the question, who is your own? People who look like you and think like you, or the large, wide, beloved community of God? And of course, I think it's the latter. And when we don't turn our backs on violence, but instead work to resolve it as we extend care to each other, well, that's how we shine. That's how we stay salty. The light that we set on the lampstand may not be perfect, but it's ours, and God calls us to share it anyway. Likewise, the flavor of our faith may not be impeccable, but it's in good taste. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. And this is a collective you. So it's not just about you or me, but about the communal us, which includes everybody. In our own shining and sharing, can we also be open to the light in other people? God is calling us to shine and to lift up each other's light too. There's plenty of room on the lampstand for all of us. And now let's continue and maybe even deepen our reflection. Have you ever found it hard to be shiny or salty? What helped you to move through that feeling of lack, if you did? What are the ways in which you uplift others' light and encourage them to share their flavor with the world? As you consider these readings, what's God's call for you? What resonates with you? What challenges you? Maybe you could just spend some time with God and listen for what God has to say to you. Thanks for listening to the Providence Podcast. I hope you continue to stay connected with God's space and, of course, the Sisters of Divine Providence of Kentucky. As you continue your spiritual journey, may you notice all the ways that God cares for you, and may we all take good care of each other. Peace.